Welcome back to Mandatory Listening. Kent and Dan enjoying a little happy hour bourbon. How are you, Dan?
I'm good. It's been too long since we had happy hour podcast time.
Yeah, I know. So let's do a little cheers.
Cheers just to get warmed up. That's right. I'll hear the clinkling of the, nice.
Yeah. What are you drinking on?
Well, I saw my buddy Brad Decker in Virginia Beach had opened up Rhetoric 24, and I was a little jealous, so I've decided to pour myself a little Rhetoric 25.
Oh, you did it. You did him dirty. You had to one-up him.
We're all working hard
So
over
if you're listening, open up a 26.
I don't know if they make it 26.
25 and a half.
Either way.
25 and a half. 25 in a day.
They're all good. What about you?
I'm doing a 1792. It's a very distinct bottle. So if you go into a liquor store, or depending on your state, just your Walmart, it's the aged 12-year 1792.
Ooh, that's hard to find, the 12-year.
Yeah, I think I poured the last of it. So
okay. Why are we cheersing?
We're cheersing because we are alive and we're healthy and we're happy, and it's a beautiful sunny day.
90 degrees in Asheville.
Really nice. So I think that's as good a reason as any to cheers.
Agreed.
But specifically, the reason we're cheersing today is in the context of the podcast is we compiled a list of, obviously the Mann Group works with a lot of specialty retailers, among others, and so we've been hearing constantly, basically every day, sometimes every hour, just from our different clients or retailers in general that we're just in communication with through either dealer panels or whatever medium we've been in contact. And we've found a pretty substantial list of just, I mean, you put it earlier as heroic acts or just
unsung heroes.
Yeah, just really just moments where the easy route would have been the easy route was very clear. And instead of taking the easy route, some of these people did something that I think just resulted in a net positive in the world. And I think in a moment right now where we need a lot of net positives.
Yeah, and under stress and with how quickly decisions are having to be made, I think we're seeing and hearing a large number of retailers who are stepping up in I'm serious, heroic ways that aren't really as present.
And
creative ways where things are being done, tough decisions are being made, and in the middle of this crisis, and for retailers, crises on an hourly basis, it seems, there are some wonderful things that people are doing and that we're seeing that we think it's worth, hey, cheers to the unsung hero.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we found that there's a lot of different aspects, obviously, in a country of hundreds of millions of people, and to our global audience, every situation, every household really is a different story. So we're just putting this in the context of within their world, this really stood out to us as, wow, that was a good decision, or that was really difficult.
Yeah,
someone stood up to the plate.
That's right.
That was not a standard operating procedure.
And we could have an entirely different podcast on just the heroes that are on the front lines of fighting the virus, those that are making big decisions around the government's response, those that are making just tough health decisions on an hourly basis as well. So there's heroes all around. So This is not in any way intended to be exclusive. It's just what we have actually heard from the retailers that we work with of the stories that we think are worth telling.
Absolutely. So I don't think this is a chronological list, and it's certainly not indicative of any importance. It's just as we wrote them down.
That's right.
So what's the first one that came to mind?
Well, one of our oldest and longest time clients is Next Adventure in Portland, Oregon. Deke and Brian, the owners of that business, have worked with us for many years, and they've worked in the community of Portland for decades. And they're truly creative, interesting guys with a phenomenal, interesting business. And it's a large business, one of the leading outdoor retailers in the country. And they had to make some of the most just grueling decisions around a large staff, around the way that they would have to conduct business.
And being in, if you look at the map just as it stands today, they're in one of the worst spots.
That's right.
For the virus.
That's right. So they had to, of course, close all their locations, which was the right decision. They do have a good online business, and in many ways, they're a very connected community of people. Communities in their vision as they give back and believe they're part of a larger community. But what they've done, which, I've watched many people just in the dumps and just managing their own optimism or pessimism or whatever stress is happening. These guys are convening a daily fireside chat, and they're just bringing a moment of their own unique style of comedy. And if you followed those guys for some years, they have extraordinary comedy.
Yeah.
They've pulled some old videos from old ads they did 10, 20, 30 years ago. Now, they've pulled videos of them as kids. And if you don't know the story of Next Adventure, Deke and Brian have been childhood friends, have been lifetime friends since childhood. I think I said it right.
Yeah.
And when they opened the store, this was nothing more than Deke and Brian's Next Adventure. And so that's how the name came to be. And they are just bringing a little bit of connectedness to their community, to their network, and to anyone that follows them on social media. So I don't know. Cheers to Deke and Brian for being creative, for pivoting, and for really maintaining what you believe, which is to stay connected to your community. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah,
and funny.
I think it would take everything up to a government mandate to keep them stuck inside. They're very active, and obviously in an outdoor store, you have some enthusiasm there. There's no lack of enthusiasm.
That's right. So here's to you guys,
Yep.
Deke and Brian at Next Adventure. Very, very good.
Yeah.
The next one on my list is Marathon Sports. Marathon Sports up in Boston, also in New Hampshire and Connecticut. These guys, Colin Petty and his incredible team, are iconic run retailers right there at the start-finish line of the Boston Marathon. And as they were forced into, shuttering their doors and reducing their engagement with people, which of course is what's happened, and not being deemed an essential business, finding some other way to connect with their customers, they created a virtual shoe fitting experience. They have a fit right or right fit process that they have a real commitment to, getting the customer in the right shoe for the run. And they've found a way to do that through the use of technology and your phone, and it lets them give someone a proper right fit and then get them the right product delivered free to their door. And again, another example of just putting your heads together and convening an interesting and smart new way to stay focused on serving your community. I find it to be heroic and creative. And the people that are doing that day in and day out are my heroes. So here's to you, Colin.
Along those lines, in the last 2 weeks, I can imagine, probably even longer, depending on your community, but with the change in seasons, I can imagine, and being homebound, people are putting a little more mileage on their running shoes than normal, as well as their biking tread, and maybe their treadmill that they have in their house. Just as a personal win for me over the last 2 weeks, I've ran every day except for Sunday, which was intentional. I didn't, I wanted to take a day off. And I haven't done that in years. I took, after my running career in high school and college, I took quite a bit of time off and finding other avenues of pushing myself physically and mentally, which I think was very healthy for me and very beneficial. Of course, you stop running every day and you put on a little more weight. And for me, it was in the form of just like functional lifting and functional exercise. And so for me, in this time, the running industry has been very influential. I've been paying attention to a lot more home workout videos, running, let's see, what would you call it? Like a running, stretching and like maintenance work for along with running, like ancillary exercises for runners to stay injury free. And I think that has been an interesting avenue from Marathon, that you can still get a shoe fitting. You don't just have to use your old ones in the closet if you want to pick up a new hobby right now when you're stuck at home. But I think that's a really good, because the running industry is all about getting the right shoe and the right fit, and not sacrificing that, even if you want to get into running, I think is a really not only smart business move, but also just value prop for the community.
Well, gyms might be closed, but your nearest sidewalk probably isn't. And for you, I think, Kent, it's as much an exercise in fitness and staying healthy as you're committed to, but it's also a good effort for mental health and just managing stress as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's really when you don't leave the house for 3, 4, 5 days, and the sun is out, the sun is shining, and you're sitting outside looking, having this invisible fear set in. Something about going outside and realizing, oh my gosh, the news is turned off and the sun is shining is such a just deeply emotional experience to just get outside of the fear and realize, hey, I may develop some muscle here in the next few weeks just by being stuck at home.
Well, I know that for many years you ran competitively. Since I'm your dad, I know that. But you were always timing, hitting certain marks, paying attention to the improvement, and I'm going to guess none of that's present in these kinds of runs.
Not at all. It's really like I've been taking very much a one more step mentality of every day, just taking it a little step further as the fitness, the aerobic fitness comes back slowly, very, very slowly. But it's just been such a even running with headphones in versus without headphones in has been almost a daily decision for me, just because the dynamic is so different, and just being really present in like my thoughts when I've been exercising and being outside has just been really important for me. So cheers to Colin as a segue, but just that creative decision to either on social media or with, just your direct circle of influence that, hey man, just get outside and go for a walk, put your feet on the grass or something.
Stay connected.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
third up.
Third up, and by the way, cheers, Colin. The next one is Landrys bikes, Landrys bicycles in Boston. Mark Gray, the president of that company. I'm not sure what, Mark, I'm sorry, I don't know your title. Big dog in charge.
Yeah, big dog.
Yeah. These guys went to bat with the governor, with the state government, to have bike shops declared a essential business. And they did that because they knew that first of all, their team needed and wanted the employment, and the marketplace, the customers were now counting on bikes to ride for transportation, for commuting, and as a result, they were able to get that successfully accomplished. Now, I know it's a day-to-day choice, so I don't know where we stand today as you listen to this, but I know that in the early stages of this, they were able to remain open and have that be passed by the state. That's great. They went to bat for that. That sounds a little self-serving. What's great about that is that then these guys from Landrys took the next step and began contacting all of the other bike shops that they could in the state of Massachusetts to let them know that was the case. So they communicated to their competitors, to the other bike shops, here's the law, you can have your doors open. And I think that is an extraordinary, heroic act on their part.
Yeah, it's really just action. And when everyone else was looking left, they looked right. Yeah. And took that, which can be a really daunting task, going when there's a declared pandemic, going to the office of a government official. Yeah. I mean, you're going to be standing in line just to say the least.
Yeah, and I think the response was overwhelming for them. The public really wanted bikes service, kids are now out of school, and they wanted commuting. And I don't know, it just seemed very timely. And Mark, that was not an easy decision. I know it was a courageous decision, and that's why I'm calling you an unsung hero. I know you guys are working around the clock up there, and I mean literally around the clock, to meet your customers' needs. And I think it's the little things that people probably aren't seeing. So here's to you for a great call there, Landrys.
Absolutely, and the potential of not only a decision that is action when everyone else is just going to react. You're taking a proactive step that not a lot of people have taken. That's one thing. Another thing is a layer to it where you're going to catch flack for a decision. And that's the thing I think that does create a lot of this inactivity and fear, is that any decision right now that is made by a business owner is going to catch flack. Do I lay off? Do I furlough? Do I stay open? Do I close? Do I ask for refunds? Do I negotiate rent? Do I do all of these things? And no matter what decision you make, you're going to catch flack from somebody. Yeah. And the layer of leadership, I think, is, like times like these where you are taking, like we said, we've taken the proper care of ourselves. We're making all the smart health decisions physically, but also just accepting and letting go and making the right decision, because
it's eliminating the noise.
Yeah, exactly. What I mean by that is when times are good, you surround yourself with people that have your back, that are calm and collected. And so that way, when there is a crisis or when there is a moment where a lot of people are looking at you to make the right decision, you have a track record and a support system and a network and
time.
Not necessarily a process, because I know a lot of this is very emotional and there's no way to predict something like this.
Yes.
But you have the brain capacity to either say 50% of my brain is taken up by fear instead of 95% of my brain is taken up with fear, and make decisions based on that. And realizing when you are about to make a decision based solely on fear and panic.
And the air is very thin in that leadership level where you're making the hard call. You're hearing, decisions from this side, on this shoulder, decision idea on this shoulder.
Yeah.
And you're having to make the call.
Right.
So again, it's courage, it's heroism, it's tough times. And I just say, cheers to you, Mark, and Landrys for the great work.
Living in the intuition as opposed to living in the fear.
Oh, that's a good one.
I think that's a good way of putting this, is that, you're in that zone. When I was talking to my friend the other day, Alex, we were playing disc golf, and before all the
6 feet apart, I hope.
Yeah, before all the parks got shut down. And the way, he was saying to me, it was talking about running, and I was saying, like, I've just gotten back into running after quite a few year hiatus. And he was like, I never really understood that. Do you get like a runner's high? Is that what keeps you going? Is it just physical fitness, or does it just suck no matter what you do and you just have to just be tough? And I said, Alex used to be a hockey player. Mm-hmm. And I told Alex, I said, he was a goalie. And I said, do you remember when you were playing hockey and you were either in a tight spot, you were in a game, you were in a tournament, and let's say that the game was tied, and it came down to that moment where you had to perform. You didn't know exactly what you had to do, but you knew in the moment that you did the right thing, where either your body moved without you even thinking about it, your stick slapped the puck right before it was about to go into the goal, you made just the right move. And he said, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. And I said, that's why you do the suck for 3 weeks of running to get in shape, to have that one good run, and then another 3 weeks passes and you don't have a good run. And I think that is living in intuition as opposed to living in fear.
Yeah.
And I think that when the whole thing just seems crumbling down on you, that's when you know that something's out of whack. Anyway, that's a long aside, but just that's cheers to having some intuition, or at least taking the proactive action.
Yep, and that's courage in action, and again, heroism. So good job there, Landrys. Next up for me is Dancing Bear Toys. Now, this is a little outside of our normal framework, but Dancing Bear Toys is local here to Asheville, just up the street, and they're a business that's very committed to not the electronic interaction with children, but the educational and kinetic and the physical the tangible toys. Yeah,
taking the iPad out of kids' hands.
That's exactly right. There are no iPads for sale in that business. Yeah. And the Evers family, which is a longtime owner of this business, led by Sarah and Erica, the sisters who run that business, they consider themselves an essential business right now. Yeah. They provide educational toys for homeschool. They provide educational toys for children who are home and not in schools. And they consider that this mission that they're on is vital to the economy, to people's mental health, to families.
Yep.
And as a result, they have been open. They are following all of the CDC protocols for interaction, but they've been frenzied by people who are showing up who are wanting their product, and they're taking good care of them to the exclusion of their own health and their own well-being. And it's amazing to watch them work this hard and give this much to a belief that they have that's helping families across Western North Carolina. So again, this is an unsung hero. People may just see a retail storefront that's open, but they see a mission and a passion and families who really need them now. And it's inspiring for us. So cheers to the Everts family for Dancing Bear Toys. I think they've done a heroic job.
Yep. And just emanating their vision and their mission, I think now more than ever, is just commendable, because they probably in some capacity either have it, their mission, vision, values, whatever, kind of staring at them on a day-to-day basis, or maybe not actually staring, but they're actually living it right now.
Yeah.
And whether or not you agree with it, I'll put it that way.
Sure.
Because it's very contextual. They're living in that world that they've done, maybe not necessarily, the any sort of analysis about business or anything like that.
That's not what's driving us.
We are integral to this community that we serve. And I think that is the key takeaway for this decision.
It's easy to be on vision in an air-conditioned, building and a comfortable chair, and you got a nice, the world is perfect and good cash flow and things are going well. You can be right on vision all the time. But when you are under fire and the decisions you're making are being evaluated and judged and critiqued, and you feel your very business is on the line, it's tough to be on point with your mission during that time. And they have done that. Yeah,
absolutely.
So I think that brings me to my last example of what I think are some of the real heroes in action. And it's right on vision. I'm going to talk about Northtown Cycling and Fitness, Cedar Rapids, Iowa. One of my favorite people that we work with, and that's Derek Stepanek and his family, who own that business and have owned that business for 4 generations. Very integral to the city there. And Derek sells bikes. They also sell fitness equipment like treadmills and whatever fitness equipment is. And 10 days ago or so, a woman called in and said, "Listen, I bought a treadmill from you guys a few years ago, and I'm in the medical field. I don't know exactly what her role was, a nurse, doctor, or something in medical." And she goes, "I've been transferred as part of this emergency, and I've got to evacuate my house and move. And I've got this treadmill in my basement, and I have no idea how to move it. And can you guys help me?" And of course, immediately, everybody's like, "Well, that breaks all the rules. We're not able to be within 6 feet, go into someone else's house. Here we are coming into your house. It's unsafe." So there's a lot of anxiety about what to do. And so Derek called her at 5 o'clock in the afternoon and said, "Okay, so where's this piece of equipment?" And she said, it's in the basement. He said, "Okay, so can I get access to the basement without engaging with anyone?" And she said, "Yes, I can show you how to do that." And he said, "Okay, so if you can keep no one down there and have the room vacant, I will come in, I will take it apart, I will put it where you want it, and I will wipe down everything after I've gone." And she said, and she was in tears when she said, "Thank you for doing that." And he did. So for 3 hours, he goes out to this house, puts his very health at risk, takes apart this piece of equipment that he had sold her in that service. And when Derek was telling me this story, he reminded me of what his vision is, which is to contribute to the health of their community. He said, "Now, how else can I interpret that other than putting a member of the medical community into where she can do her job and also do what I said I would do and take care of that piece of equipment?" And, here's an owner of a business, 9 o'clock at night in an unsafe, supposedly unsafe or risky environment, to do exactly what he signed up to do. And cheers, Derek. That's heroism in action. And by the way, there's not anybody giving out any trophies for that work, but you were earning your hero badge that night.
Absolutely.
Cheers to you,
yeah,
buddy.
Cheers. Wow, that's pretty powerful.
It's someone on vision, even when it was a hard decision to make.
Yeah. Wow. A lot of this stuff is so unprecedented, and it's just, I think this is the kind of message that, because we're so fortunate to have a platform like this where we're able to distribute a message of positivity and collaboration. And this may not work for your community, but this is what we've heard.
Yeah.
And I think that that's been our most powerful tool, is compiling a lot of this data and information, and interpret this however you want. But wow, we just saw these as stand out, and there's thousands of people doing this across the nation right now.
That's right. And retail's under fire in all the, certainly retail is under fire from the position of health and closing, but they're under fire from the position of economics and joblessness and protecting lifetimes of work. So it's tough spot for the folks we work with, and we just acknowledge that in the toughest of times, there are some people really showing extraordinary leadership. We want to celebrate it. And as you're listening to this, I hope you're coming up with 4 or 5 examples that you've gone through as well. Again, those silent stories. And I would say, Kent, we'd like to hear those.
Please.
If you're still listening to this podcast, I would do 2 things. First, we would love to hear your story. Just send us a link, send us an email, and tell us what's happening out there, because we know this is just a tip of the iceberg of the unsung heroes that are out there. And we'd love to cheers you. In fact, I'm thinking of an end of the podcast giveaway, Kent.
Oh, should I stop you here? Hold on. No. Stop with... Oh, I'm kidding.
So we're cheersing this fine bourbon in a Mann Group cocktail glass.
Yeah.
We'll send you one, and we can cheers together to some better times.
Yeah.
If you're still here, we'd love to send you a nice cocktail glass for your bourbon drinking, if that's what you drink, or hey, for iced tea, if that's your preference.
Iced tea, pickle juice, and whiskey, is that one?
Yeah, all of that.
Yeah.
But anyway, it celebrates that this is happening across the retail landscape for many, many people, and we celebrate you, and we know that times will get better.
Yep, absolutely. Well, thanks for listening, everyone, and I'm just excited to be in a position where we can talk to so many amazing people and so many amazing businesses that are really put in a very, very hard position. The borderline of being a small business while also being customer facing is the crux of this dynamic right now.
And showing great leadership while doing so.
And showing great leadership. So take it for what you will, and I hope you've enjoyed listening.